Well, good evening, everyone. How are you? It's lovely to see you again, and a very warm welcome back to What's for Tea. Or if you're new, a warm welcome to you also. This is What's for Tea, and my name is Cheryl. Now, a couple of days ago, I asked you if you wanted to see a slow cooker recipe or a stovetop recipe for this wonderful scouse, dish all the way from Liverpool. And you guys have chosen to see the slow cooker version. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. It was absolutely delicious. It reminds me ever so much of Scottish stovies, and if I'm being honest, it's more or less identical. There are a few slight differences, but the overall flavour is, I would say, just the same. So we absolutely loved it, and these ingredients that I'm showing you are going to be enough for 4 to 5 people. So it does make quite a lot. And like I said, this is adapted from a recipe that my friend actually gave me, and she's from Liverpool, so it's quite accurate. There's a couple of things that aren't 100% traditional, but I'll explain that when I get there. And she said you basically use leftover beef or leftover lamb. You can use mince, or you can use diced lamb or beef. She said you can use whatever you've got or whatever you like. More traditionally it would be lamb, so I'm going to be using lamb today. And instead of just using the diced lamb, I've also got some minced lamb, just for a contrast in the texture. Right, so this is what I've got for you if you want to follow along and make this for yourself. And as usual, everything will be in the description box down below along with their weights. So let's go and see what I've got. So the first thing I've got there is 300 grams of plain flour. I've got 500 grams, which is about a pound of diced lamb shoulder. Now you can use diced beef if you prefer. My friend, she did say lamb was more traditional, so that's why I'm using lamb today. I've also got half of a small turnip or swede, which I've just diced, quite roughly. I've also got 500 mils of lamb stock. Again, you can use beef stock if you're using diced beef. I've got 1.5 pounds of potatoes, which I've just peeled and chopped into bite-sized pieces. I've also got 200 millilitres of beer or bitter. I've got 3 medium carrots, which I've just chopped into bite-sized pieces again. I've got 500 grams, which is about a pound of minced lamb. And I've also got 1 large onion, which I've just chopped. And that's it. All you're going to need extra is salt and pepper and a wee bit of olive oil for frying. So let's move on and see what's next. So for my stock today, I'm just using 3 of these OXO cubes. These are the lamb OXO cubes, and I'm going to dissolve 3 of these into 500 millilitres of boiling water, but you can use beef ones if you prefer. And this is the beer that I'm using. Use any beer you like. This is just local to me, and this is the one that we like anyway. So we are using this one today. So you want to get your slow cooker onto high, and you're going to be cooking this for about 7 hours. So the first thing you want to do is grab yourself a bowl, pop in your flour, a wee dash of salt, and I'm going to pop in half a teaspoon of dried parsley. These are all optional, and half a teaspoon of black pepper. We just want to season the flour. And you just want to give it a wee mix together. Then drop in your meat, and you want to coat this well. And we just do this prior to frying because it's going to protect your meat, and it's also going to help seal all those, the lovely flavours inside your meat as well. So just make sure it's well coated. Shake off any excess and pop it into a bowl, just like this. Now you're going to go over to your cooker, and you want a sort of medium to high heat. Pop in some olive oil. I like to use olive oil because you can cook this at quite a high heat and it doesn't burn. And once your pan is nice and warm, pop in your meat, and you want to brown this all over. It'll just take you, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, I would say. And I was happy with this. Ideal. I just want to pop this into a bowl. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing to our mincemeat. Now, my friend didn't actually say to do this to the mincemeat, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So you don't have to do this, this is just what I've chosen to do. And I'm just going to wait until my mince is halfway browned, and I'm going to pop my onions in. And then once the onions are soft, the mince should be thoroughly browned. And I'm also going to pop in a wee dash of salt to bring out some of the moisture, and a wee dash of Henderson's relish. Now, if you can't find Henderson's relish, I would just use a wee dash of Worcester sauce. It's very, very similar. But again, she didn't actually say to put in Worcester sauce. That's just something I decided to do. So now I'm going to go over to the slow cooker. I'm going to pop in my diced lamb, followed by the mincemeat and also the onions. Just make sure you get all those nice juices out of the pan and into your slow cooker. I'm just going to get, a wee stir around to combine them a wee bit. And then I'm going to add half of my potatoes. And I'm just going to add half because I have a feeling when this has been on for 4 hours, the potatoes are going to disappear and disintegrate. So I'm going to leave the other half till later and pop them in a lot later on. Followed by the carrots. And then my turnip or swede. And then the stock. And then the beer. And that's it. So you just want to pop the lid on this and give it 4 hours. I mean, you're going to be giving it 7 hours altogether, but give it 4 hours, and after 4 hours, come back and pop the rest of your potatoes in. That way you're going to have different textures in your potatoes, and they're not all going to be disintegrated. So this was me after 4 hours, and I was actually surprised that the potatoes were in quite good shape by this point. But you've got to remember they've got another 3 hours to go, so I'm just going to pop in the rest of my potatoes now and give it another 2.5 to 3 hours, just until the tatties are soft. And I'm going out. So give it another 2 or 3 hours. Mine's took 2 hours actually. I was very surprised. So this was me 2 hours later. You just want to give it a good old stir. And as you can see, my potatoes are starting to break apart. So this was perfect. And the longer you leave this sitting and the more you stir it, the thicker it is going to get. It's traditionally served, I'm told, with crusty bread and red pickled cabbage on the side. And it's best served in a soup bowl or a pasta dish, something with high sides, so that you can get lots of gravy in there, so that you can dip your crusty bread in. So that's what we had. We had a couple of buttered bread rolls, and I'm the only one in the house that likes anything pickled. So I'm going to have the pickled red cabbage on the side of mine, and this was it here, and I loved it. I loved the combination of the red, the red pickled cabbage with the richness of the stew. It just went wonderfully together. So that was it. Like I said, very, very simple. Absolutely, it's like winter in a bowl, and it reminds me, like I said, ever so much of Scottish stovies. And my friend is actually from Liverpool. She had said just use whatever leftovers you've got, but I didn't actually have any sort of meaty leftovers. So I went out and bought the diced lamb and the minced lamb, but traditionally it would be whatever meat you've got left. So it might even be a combination of lamb and beef, or it could be diced beef, minced beef, anything really. But I just loved the combination of the minced lamb and the diced lamb. It gave a lovely contrast in textures, because although it's the same meat basically, it's just got an entirely different texture. So we really, really enjoyed this, and certainly one we'll be making in the future. But like I said, it is very, very similar to what we call Scottish stovies, which traditionally you would use beef, diced beef or minced beef, and we wouldn't usually use the turnip. It would just be the potato, carrot and onion. But yeah, absolutely delicious, and recommended if you do enjoy these kind of things. And with me doing it in the slow cooker, it just made things so much simpler. You don't have to hover over the stove all day. You just, you do basically put it in, walk away and come back, and it's done. I chose to put my potatoes in at 2 different stages because I wasn't sure if the potatoes were all going to break down and go into nothing, but they actually turned out fine. And had I known that they were going to survive, you know, such a long cook, I would have just put them all in at the beginning. But it all came together in the end anyway. But if I was going to do it again, I would certainly just throw all the potatoes in the beginning, and you know, you don't really need to put them in at a later stage. So yeah. So that was it. So that was my wee recipe, guys. So thank you ever so much again for popping over for this one. And do let me know if you decide to give it a go for yourself. And mind to comment down below and let me know what you thought of it and whether you are going to give it a go. So until I see you next, guys, mind to take care of yourselves. And from our house in Scotland to wherever you are in the world, lots of love. And bye for now. Bye now.